you're watching Big Lou Barbecue and other things I want to do. And right now I want to make some oyster dressing for you. You see a few videos back. I'll show you that video. It's going to be in the iCard right about there. All right. And I made a smoked turkey. And in that video at the end, I mentioned I made some oyster dressing. And a fella commented and says, hey, would you show us how to make oyster dressing? And I thought, sure, I'll show you how to make oyster dressing. And my daughter was coming home from college this week because it's holiday week. It's Thanksgiving week that I'm doing this. This is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And she says, Dad, will you make us oyster dressing? You know they don't do it where we're going to Thanksgiving this year. You know, basically, to be honest, I remember oyster dressing growing up, but in our family, most of the people who used to make oyster dressing and enjoy it, other than myself, have passed away. All right. So anyway, I still make it. So I said, yeah, I'll make oyster dressing. Then on Tuesday, there was oysters at my door and I didn't know it. And the guy who sent them to me, Gregor, he didn't know it, but he sent me some oysters from Island Creek Oysters, and he sent me some more on Thursday. So I had 100 oysters. I shucked 100 oysters this morning. And last two videos, I'll have them linked below, involve those oysters. One where I'm eating them raw and one where I made oyster stew. These are called Moon Shoal oysters. And I've shucked them all in here, and I've got the liqueur. You need the liqueur. I also saved some of the liqueur from the others, and from those too, because I strained it out right there. And if I need anything more than this for this oyster dressing, I would use a seafood stock, a chicken stock, something like that. I've got some chicken stock in there. I don't think I'm gonna need more than that, all right? But before we get into the ingredients, let's talk about the equipment. I was gonna do this out on my grill, my Argentine grill called the Nuke grill, but I've never made oyster dressing on the grill before. I thought I probably can, but it's been a busy day, and I usually make oyster dressing right here in my kitchen. Start it on my stove over there and pop it in the oven right there behind me, you see. And so instead of firing up the grill and trying an experiment to do it on the grill when I've never done it on the grill before, we're just gonna make oyster dressing the way I make oyster dressing. Plus, most folks who would make oyster dressing would make it in their kitchen, not out on the grill. But I bet it would be good with a little bit of smoke flavor in it. All right, I'm gonna be using my Field Skillet. All right, Field sent me this for a review way back several months ago, way back at the beginning of the summer months, or maybe even in the spring months. And I did 2 reviews on the Field Skillet. I'll leave those links down below. So there'll be a lot of my videos down below, okay? I have come to really, really appreciate this Field Skillet. It's a number 10, which means it's 12-inch skillet. I've learned to like the high, straighter sides on it. And that's gonna make a good oyster dressing maybe than the brand I had, you know, before, which, you know, everybody has. It's a classic brand, but those sides kind of slope. This is going to make a good one, and I really have loved it. Field's also sent me a leather handle for it, so I'll be using this when it's on the stove, but it's got to come out when this pops into the oven. So we're going to start it in the on the stove, and we're going to pop it in the oven. All right, so that's pretty much the equipment. Also want to show you this that Field has sent me. They've sent me a brush for that thing. This thing works well. And they've sent me the cast iron seasoning, and it's almost gone. All right, but I got another month or 2 left of it, I reckon, you know. And but I do use it. It works on stuff that's not Field too. And they sent me this chainmail scrubby. This is the first time I've ever used a chainmail scrubby. I've been using it for months now. Hey, Field, this works on other brands of cast iron and carbon steel too. Even my vintage cast iron. I just want y'all to know that people might come to your website and buy this chainmail scrubby because it works so well on all types of cast iron. I absolutely love to clean cast iron with this. I'd never used one before. Field sent it to me. So anyway, that's enough. Thank you for Field. We're going to use the Field Skillet. All right, let's do the ingredients. All right. The 2 most important ingredients for oyster dressing are oysters. Yep, showed those to you already. And the bread. You want French bread, okay? One of the, like if you like the baguettes, the little skinny ones, you might want 2 of those, okay? I got this at my local Wally World from the back. Now, I went back there to just get plain French bread, all right, stale. You want to get that yellow thing on it, all right? I bought this yesterday, and it probably could use another day of getting stale, but it's getting kind of firm, so it's all right. They didn't have any plain, and they had like poppy seed one. Well, that's not gonna work. And they had one like everything, a few of them that were like the everything seasoning on it with all kind of stuff, and I was like, no. But then they had this one that was just garlic and herb, and I said, you know what, that'd be pretty good in oyster dressing. I wouldn't use this in bread pudding, but I would use it in oyster dressing, you know, because when you make bread pudding or oyster dressing, you got to go back and get stale French bread, you know. All right, so got the French bread, got the oysters. All right, what you heard fall right there was going to have a little bit of the pepper vinegar, just a tad bit of the pepper vinegar goes in here. This is those Tabasco peppers. It's not Tabasco brand, but you know, Tabasco peppers with the vinegar in it. A little bit, we're gonna have a few dashes. Got a bunch of green onions, gonna chop those up, okay, get those in there. Need 2 cloves of garlic, not a head, this is a head. Need just, you know, the part right here, you know. Yeah, let's see, you know what, I'll use 3. Here, I broke off 3 of it, okay, right there. Yeah, these, can't hold it up, these 3. Okay, that one, and that little one right there. All right, we'll use that. All right, and you need some Trinity. All right, I'll show you what that is. And you need some oil. I'm gonna use some pecan oil, okay? Well, I thought I didn't see it out here in front of me, and I did have it out here. Went to the freezer and looked for it, it wasn't there. I got a little bit left, need about a cup. I'll just probably go ahead and use all of this, okay? This is a seasoned blend. We call it the Trinity here in Louisiana. That's different than the Texas Trinity. You barbecue guys know the Texas Trinity is the salt, pepper, garlic for your rubs and stuff. The Cajun Trinity is onion, celery, and bell pepper, all right? Usually fresh. The ratio is about 2 ribs of celery, 1 medium bell pepper, 1 medium onion. But I've got it already made and frozen in this, and I'm probably just going to use this stuff. And see, it's already cut up. A red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper. You can buy this lots of different places. Sometimes they'll have parsley with it, but that's all right. You can use parsley with it too. Or you can just cut one up fresh if you want to for your oyster dressing. So I'm going to be using that. And you need a Cajun Creole seasoning. And of course, I'm going to be using Uncle Steve's Spicier. Uncle Steve's Spicier for this oyster dressing. All right, let's get started. All right, you may hear my oven fan in the background, but that's because I got to preheat it to 350 degrees. All right, so here's the French bread loaf, and I've never used one with seasoned top before, but I think garlic and herb would be just fine in this oyster dressing. I just kind of like, yeah, this is good and stale. It could go another day, but when it does that, it's right, okay? You want it stale so it can soak stuff up, okay? And cut like that, and then I kind of just, you know, cut like this, okay? Just like that. You can do smaller chunks if you want to. It's up to you. You know, like you're making big old croutons or something. Just, that's how I slice it. So I'm gonna do the other half the same way, all right? Hey, look at that. It's a bread bowl. Yeah, I got the bread all in this bowl, ready to go. If you're the kind of cook that's looking up oyster dressing videos on YouTube, you probably know how to cut up green onions and garlic, so I'll spare you that. All right, I said about a cup of this Trinity stuff. Well, I had about a cup and a half left, so we're gonna use, you know, the more the merrier, right? So what I've got in there, I've already spilt some pecan oil in there, and I'm probably gonna add just a little bit more. That's that pecan oil right there. All right, we're gonna get those softened up and browned up a little bit. Now then, while these brown, I need some salt. So why don't we use some of this sea salt that's also from Island Creek Oysters, and put that in there, and we're gonna get that, you know, salt helps these onions brown up a little bit. That works right there. This is Salteri 1, also came from Island Creek Oysters. All right, so we get that. By the way, as you watch that brown, I didn't cut up all the green onions, just the top. Probably got about a handful. So I'll save these for something else. Getting kind of brown, so I'm gonna throw in the garlic now. You don't put the garlic in first because it will burn. All right, so that's 3 cloves of garlic, really two big ones and 1 little bitty tiny one that I kind of chopped up. Now in the intro, I forgot to mention 2 key ingredients. One of them sage. We're gonna need sage for this, but right now we need an entire stick of butter. Salted or unsalted, it's up to you. I'm Big Lou and I'm not gonna judge you, all right? You do what you do you. I mean, it's your baby, you spank it. You want unsalted butter, use unsalted butter. I'm using salted butter, all right? Yes, the oysters are salty, and yes, I added sea salt, you know. I probably won't need to, and I'm adding Uncle Steve's shake. I probably won't need to add any more salt than that. All right, so we're gonna get that butter melted, and I'm gonna cut the heat back to about a medium. It was on a 7, and I'm cutting it back to 5.5. All right. Now that butter's almost melted, we're gonna add black pepper. Remember, I already added the sea salt, so we're gonna add black pepper. That much, no more, no less. That's the exact right amount right there, okay? However much you want, you know, season it to your taste. What they say? Your baby, you spank it. All right, I've reduced the heat Added the pepper, added the garlic. We're gonna add in this almost pint full of oysters. That's about 40 oysters in here. I had 50 of these moon shoal oysters from, I believe they're from Massachusetts, okay? Island Creek Oysters. I had 2 different kinds. I think these are the moon shoal. They were called the large. I poured them in there with the liqueur. And if I need more liqueur, now that's cooling my thing down, so I need to get these stirred up and stir them around. I probably should have put them in there in 2 or 3 different batches to not cool everything off so fast. But we're gonna cook these to the edges start to turn a little bit. We are putting this in the oven so they will cook all the way, all right? We're just gonna saute these down in this butter and this Trinity mixture and get them sort of cooking there, right? We've got all the oyster liqueur in there, and I do have some on reserve. Remember, I shucked 100 oysters, and that's about half of them. I did put about 20 in my mouth, and my kids, altogether we ate about 20 of them raw. So that's about 40 oysters right there. And if you're using Gulf oysters, because you're from the Louisiana, use medium-sized oysters. If you got the big ones, cut them in half. All right, the edges have started to curl on these oysters. They're looking like that right there. You see what I'm talking about? Those edges curling up like that, okay? And that's about what we want. Here's another good shot of it, okay? These are some good sized oysters for oyster dressing. I'm gonna give you something to bite into. All right, now, got the bread bowl. I'm just gonna start taking from out of my hands and just putting the bread in there like that, okay? And it's gonna take about 3 batches here, all right? And I'm probably gonna have to add some more oyster liqueur. I can see that now. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all soaked up, just kind of mash it down, let it soak up the butter and everything. And so I don't do this all the time. I try to do it at least once a year, you know? I do already have a video on oyster dressing as well. I made a complete Thanksgiving meal once in a smoker, and oyster dressing was part of that video, but it's an awful long video because we did turkey, we did spinach madeleine, we did desserts, we did sweet potatoes, we did oyster dressing. So it's not just a specific oyster dressing video. All right, so you see how that's all mashing up? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add some more of this liqueur. Or liquor. This is that oyster liquor I saved from when I shucked them. If you don't have this because you bought like a pint of oysters and you don't have enough, you could use a seafood stock, you could use a chicken stock if you want to, or just a chicken bouillon or something like that, or just water, you know, if that's what you want to do, and maybe even a flavored water of some sort. But a bouillon or chicken stock would work, you know, if you don't have the liqueur, but it's best to go ahead and have the liqueur. All right, so that's getting all mushy, so we're gonna add the rest of the breading here. Actually, we're gonna add another third of the breading here. And I'm gonna get that all mushed down, all right? All right, before I add this last third of bread, I'm gonna go ahead and pour in some more of this liqueur, get it heated up, because I'm gonna need it. I can tell that I'm going to need it. And if it's too much, I've got a secret weapon to soak up the rest. This is another ingredient I didn't tell you we needed. I should have done it at the beginning. Herb de Provence. If you don't have that, just use some thyme and some parsley and whatever. Herb de Provence, herbs de Provence. All right, I almost do French. We're gonna sprinkle some of that in there. This makes it really, really good, this oyster dressing. All right, and this is important. You need sage. You gotta have sage. It's a dressing. How can you not have sage, all right? You gotta have sage. That's probably enough sage right there. It's not a chicken dressing or a turkey dressing. It's a oyster dressing, okay? And go ahead and get this mixed up. All right. And before my liqueur comes out, go ahead and get the rest of the bread in there. So, do that right like that. Right like this. Sorry, I bumped the tripod with the bread bowl. Got some crumbs here. This garlic and herb bread, I think, is going to make a good oyster dressing. I really do think so. All right. Going to get that mixed in. Oh yeah, we're going to have plenty of liquid here. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to continue to do this and get it mashed in. I'm not going to have to add any more. And I may need to add a few crackers to soak up some of it. I know it doesn't look like much now, but once it all gets mashed in there, it's going to be good. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire almost to low now. You know, I'm just going to turn it off. No need, this filled skillet will hold the heat well enough to get this in there before we get it in the oven. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up. All right, I've got it pretty well mixed up. I'm going to continue to mix it because I got to put in some Uncle Steve's. Gotta put in a few more ingredients here. So get some of this Uncle Steve's spicy. It doesn't need a lot, just a little of that cayenne kick. And we need this pepper vinegar that I left over there. I want to put some of that in there. All right. Just a little bit of that pepper vinegar. That really makes this oyster dressing pop, I think. I like it with the seafood. Gosh. All right. And anyway, yeah, I wish you could smell this. This already smells good. All right. I'm just going to continue to make sure I got all the bread mixed well. All right. And smooth it out. And we're going to go in the oven with it. All right, the stove has been off now. I've got that all mixed up. I made a mess on my induction stove here. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of these things. These are oysterettes, because you know it's oyster dressing. I'll just add a little bit to the top here. I didn't mention that in the ingredients either. This is totally optional if you don't want to do it. All right, totally optional. Don't need a lot, just a little bit. You know, that much, right about there. Now, then I just kind of mash these in because I want these to kind of stay crispy, you know. If you got way too much liquid, you can always crush these up and put them in there and let the crumbs absorb stuff up. All right. Anyway, that's how I do oyster dressing. All right. If I don't have these, I'll use saltines and just kind of crumble them up a little bit, not crush them, but crumble them. All right. There we go. Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. Just kind of mash them down in there and get them a little wet with that buttery mixture. All right. Now this goes in the oven. Well, you know what I forgot? The green onions. How did I forget the green onions? So gotta continue to stir this in there and get all these green onions stirred in. Then we'll go to the oven. All right, I'm just gonna kind of smooth it over a little bit, but not mash it down. Now to the oven. All right, oven's heated to 350. Go in there, get that leather thing off of there like that. Turn it and heat it. All right, let's check it. I think it's about done. Been in there, whoa. Should grab that leather handle maybe. Oh, that is gorgeous, 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 okay? Yeah, that's done. So I'll set that right over there. I know it's just sitting there now, but I got to walk around the camera. So, all right, I'm actually serving this with some chicken quarters. I know it's not turkey, but it's not really Thanksgiving yet either. It's a week away. But I did do the chicken quarters in my oilless turkey fryer. All right, so there's the, it's still steaming, Look at that delicious, there's some oysters in there. Okay, that's a big old bite too. Listen, I made a lobster sauce I'm gonna serve on top of this because I was given some lobster too. That's a little bonus video. It'll be down below, okay, just so that this oyster dressing video doesn't go too long. Let's go ahead and eat this. Woo! That's good, man. I love oyster dressing. It's gonna be good with that lobster sauce. Never put lobster sauce on a Louisiana style New Orleans dressing, but then again, I've never used New England oysters in one either. Hey, those oysters are fantastic in there. The moon shoal oysters, wow. And when you just shucked them fresh that day, because I shucked them earlier today, that's delicious oyster dressing. You gotta try it. Hey, thanks for watching Big Lou Barbecue.